This is M. Carter Pierce, and you're watching a remote edition of the Daily Reel. The shutdown is over. Donald Trump signed the new CR to fund the government through the end of January, late last night. I watched the vote myself, and once again, Republicans got their way because they have a majority in the House. But Annalita Gravajo was sworn in. She became the 200th and 218th signatory on the discharge petition, and Donald Trump is having a fit. Not just because of the discharge petition that's already been filed, but also because of the emails that came out where Jeffrey Epstein said he's a dirty guy. But we already knew that. I want to point your attention to something else, too. Donald Trump has directed Rus Vought, who is the acting director of the Consumer Finance Protection Board, or CFPB, to not seek more funding. And more than likely in January, that agency is going to get phased out. This is critical for the average American. Why? Because the CFPB is the one that polices and puts protections for consumers like us against banks, credit cards, predatory loans, etc. But Donald Trump wants to keep us poor. That's part of Rus Vought's plan in Project 2025. Keep the poor folks poor. Take as much from them as you possibly can. It's easier to control them that way. And that's what Donald Trump is doing. In other words, Donald Trump is a bastard. Plain and simple. I can't think of any nicer way to put that. Donald Trump is a bastard. He's a criminal. He went back to court, once again, trying to get the convictions overturned in the E. Jean Carroll case. The juries have spoken, the judges have spoken, the courts have spoken throughout the state of New York. To overturn that conviction would be an absolute affront to the jurors and to the entire New York court system. But even worse is the fact that Donald Trump is using the Federal Department of Justice, the DOJ, as his own personal lawyers. We're paying for his lies. And that doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense to you? Somebody said yesterday that our greatest hope is during the midterms. In a way, it is. I think I see the Democrats' plan. But unless he dies, which is, I'm all for that, basically what we're going to have is a situation of sheer hell next year. This country, without a doubt, cannot make another 36 months of Donald Trump. Look at the damage he's done in 10 months. Look at just recently how if this shutdown hadn't taken place, we would have had to rely on the Supreme Court, the United States Supreme Court, to force him to pay us our SNAP benefits. Why, in what world, and a program that in its whole 60-year history never had this problem before, but in what world do you have to go to court to force a so-called sitting president to feed the people, to feed the children? But then we should have gotten an idea that it would be difficult with him. After all, USAID had a lot of food for starving children, and he just let it sit on the piers and disintegrate. He didn't care. He doesn't care. The only thing Donald Trump cares about is himself. I believe yesterday I put out a video and I said, it's not America first, it's not democracy first, it's Trump first. That is a true and valid statement. It's always been that way with him. So he wants to take your health care, and he came up with a ridiculous idea. Then he did a total scammer move. He said, well, we'll give everybody $2,000 checks. But he didn't say when. Those are so-called tariff benefits. There is no benefit. You're just giving the people their money back because they're the ones that paid the tariffs. And he doesn't want to, the bottom line is he's not going to give you a $2,000 check. Now, maybe some of you are holding out and you're still waiting for your $5,000 Doge check. Maybe you are, maybe you aren't. I'm not, because I know it's not coming. Donald Trump wants to be the guy that always tells you, promises made, promises kept. The only promises Donald Trump keeps is to millionaires and billionaires because they give him something he can use. Money. Something that he personally can use. So yeah, he's going to look out for them. He wants them to make as much profit as they can so that he can get more out of them every single year and it doesn't hurt him. And how did he do that? By way of tax cuts. But here's the problem with the whole scheme. We have to pick up the slack in the federal budget. Our taxes go up. We're paying tariffs. The price of goods are going up. And our dollars are stretched to the breaking point. It's becoming a situation of pure survival. I know that sounds like really dramatic, but it is. And you better get used to it. Because in a Trump presidency, it's going to be chaos and destruction. It was last time, and it's going to be that now. For a man who shouldn't even be sitting in the Oval Office. It's ridiculous. The courts have been our last line of defense up into the Supreme Court. And they're not trustworthy. It's time for Alito and Thomas to hit the hay because they've been there entirely too long, and that even supports the arguments for term limits. It's time for the joke to be over. It's time to stop taking and let people live. And that's what I would tell Donald Trump because he's taken enough already. I'm M. Carter Pierce, and this has been a remote edition of the Daily Reel. Like, subscribe, share, comment, unless you're MAGA, because I got a MAGA yesterday that wanted to post something, and I'm tired of that parroting of Donald Trump's lies. Take that shit somewhere else. Other than that, I'll see you on the next one.